for our own good health. So, dear friends, let us do what we call a transference of merit, so that everything that we do each day in the Dharma, in service, with love, we dedicate to the welfare of all beings. So please repeat after me this quite traditional transference of merit verses. These transference of merit verses.
Kata Orasa Atata Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiments benevolent. Dharma friend sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing. We practice ego-Buddhism together. The sound of temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of a nonviolent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Under silence, light after dawn of rain. Om Anmaga Vairocana Mahamudra Mani Padma Ishi Limyon Queen And I'm unmuting everybody for the refuges. Unmuted. Sushan, you need to. There we go. All right. So please repeat after me out loud.
God.
I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
And realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
I will penetrate the teachings
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
I
will
will
seek
seek peace
and happiness
happiness
for
for
the
all
many.
And transform this world into Buddha land, unimpeded.
And transform this world into
Buddha
Buddha land,
land
unimpeded.
Okay, so we're not going to have a second sitting, so I would say gather around, but what that means is I'm going to move my computer. I'm realizing you sort of can't see me because of the way the light is. So there we go. That's a little better. Bhakta will come in.
Some other people.
Exactly. So good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Judy. Let's see. I was going to say.
Oh, there's Samsu.
Samsu.
Hey.
Wave hi to G.
And I'm reading the chat. There we go. Okay.
There's Sushin.
It's Kumyun.
Yeah.
Oh, sushi. Wow.
Right. Exactly. How about that? Exactly. And I'm seeing yes, and I see it's good to see so many people. Ted is here. Oh my goodness.
Hello.
Are you in Seattle?
Yes.
Wow. Good to
Wait, there's
see
two.
you.
Where's Tom?
Good to see everybody. So we have about 16 people. So yeah, I see in the chat there were some questions. I do turn everybody's mic off while we're meditating. So the first 25 minutes we'll meditate. Then I may unmute everybody for the chanting, the refuges, and the repeating after me. So yeah, it's wonderful to see the online Sangha. We'll have announcements at the end, and I'll share. There are other opportunities to meditate with all of us. So yeah, and also we'll have a chance to check in and just see how everybody's doing. I hope this has been very much, as Haju said in an email to me earlier, these are exciting times for the Dharma. And I think we could all use less exciting times, but this is really a moment for really appreciating our practice, deepening our practice. I found one of our standard greetings to people, I think, during these times is to say, oh, these are strange times. And every time I say that, I can hear the Buddhist teachers say, actually, the other times were strange when we're running around from place to place and worried about everything and commuting and just not getting in touch with what's really the marrow of life and existence. So in many ways, we live in impermanence. Haji last week talked about the 5 remembrances. It's in our nature to get sick. It's in our nature to die. All of that is with us. If you're doing prostrations, we have great is the matter of birth and death. Impermanence surrounds us. Be awake each moment and do not waste your life, all of which have a new pertinence, perhaps, in this difficult time. So I can't tell you, it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful to see everybody here. It was great to hear you repeating after me. So one of the things that came up in our advisory council meeting was that, to use this moment of vulnerability, of intense vulnerability, maybe instability, maybe anxiety, that there's an opening here for hearing those sutras, for hearing the Dharma, for hearing it differently, for connecting to our practice in a different way. And so it was suggested it would be nice for us to get together in our little Sunday mini service and to do some sutra study. And the sutra that came up was the Heart Sutra, which of course is really the essence. It's heart in the sense of here and not here. But it's also heart in the sense of it's really, again, the marrow of the teachings, really the essence of all of the thousands of pages of sutras is condensed in the Heart Sutra. And that it would be a good idea to take a look at it together and study it together. So, so we'll just do an introductory session with that today. We won't get too deeply into it. If you're interested, we do have some online resources. So if you'd like those, it's a suggestion. There are a lot of commentaries on the Heart Sutra. And so there's a list of commentaries, and there's also Oche put up a PDF of the Red Pine translation and commentary, which is really useful. So if you'd like any of those, it's a folder that we can easily share with you. So just email chicago@zenbuddhisttemple.org and we can share that Google Drive folder with you. But before we recite the Heart Sutra together, I'll have me and Sushim and Oche, and anybody else who knows the sing-song Heart Sutra will recite it. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but it's on page 13 of the Moon Journeying Over Clouds, the new edition booklet. But you can also get this right online, the PDF under chanting. But just in guise of a very tiny mini Dharma talk, the other day I was thinking about everything that's going on. And as a seminary student and a Dharma teacher, we learn to go first to our practice. In some sense, that's I take refuge. So our first instinct when things get difficult is to look to our practice, not to get out of what's unstable and impermanent and scary, but to find clues as to how to navigate with it, harmonize with it, work with it, even when it seems really impossible. And the other day, I thought to myself, and I never thought of this before, but of practice as a parachute. And so I don't know about you, but the first few days after all of this started happening, I was super frightened, and all my anxieties from when I was 5 years old and 10 years old and 20 years old just came rushing back. And I had to keep walking by grocery stores. Skakta could tell you that's true, just to see that there was food inside of them. And I'm still very concerned about family members and friends who are vulnerable to the virus. And it was that feeling of just falling through the air, which if those of you who are familiar with the Zen, that's usually good news in Zen, but it's terrifying. And after a few days, it's like I pulled the cord, right? And then we have this practice when we sing Morning Yabel, we invoke all of the teachers and the arhats and the bodhisattvas, and thinking about that as the silk in our parachute, right? The spreading of the Dharma, the 10 directions and 3 worlds, that it just open and lets us float down to the earth. It doesn't mean we don't go down to the earth, but it means we're not just falling willy-nilly. And maybe on the way down, we can notice things. We can maybe steer a little bit. We can be helpful. So I'm just going to offer that to you as maybe an image of how to think about your practice during these times. And again, in the end, after we're done with the Heart Sutra, as you may know, Oche and Sabahab doing a wonderful job of holding the temple schedule, the standard temple schedule. And so they have sittings and services. They're doing the 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, 11:45 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. And those are all available to stream, and you can either zoom in or you can watch on YouTube if you'd rather stay anonymous. So some people like that as well. So we can send you those links. Once again, just email .org. We can get you those links and we can get you share that Google Drive with you about the Heart Sutra. So yes, but and I see Kosa. Hello, Kosa. How are you? Kosa must also remember how to sing the Heart Sutra. So I'm inviting anybody who remembers how to chant the Heart Sutra to join us. Again, I can't see everybody who's here at the same time, but I think they're still. So, so shall we? Is Sushin there and Oche?
Yes.
Okay, great. Oh, I have a little picture of Oche and Sam and stuff like that. Okay, so shall we? So we'll put our hands in Hapjong and we'll just sing song recite it through, and then I'll outline what we'll be doing with it in the weeks to come. So.
Of great
I'm not sure how well this is working. From the deep practice of
prajna
perceive the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. Oh, Sariputta, form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. Oh, Sariputta, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, no extinction of death, no suffering, cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to contain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna or mita. Therefore, his mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, he reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. No than the prajna paramita is the great Dharani, the radiant, fearless mantra, the supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Claim now the highest wisdom, the prajna paramita. Gate,
Gate,
Ara, Gate,
Gate,
Ara,
Ara,
Sangate,
Sangate,
Ori,
Ori,
Swaha,
Swaha,
Gate, Gate,
Ara,
Ara, Gate,
Gate,
Ara,
Ara,
Sangate,
Sangate,
Ori,
Ori, Swaha,
Swaha,
Gate, Gate, Ara, Gate,
Sangate, Odi,
Odi, Swaha, Maha, Paramita, Hidaya,
I did it. All right. So, yeah, so I suggest, going forward, reciting the Heart Sutra. It's the Heart Sutra is strong medicine. And so I'm not sure if anybody knows kind of the origin of the Heart Sutra. Of course, like most of the sutras, it is purported to come from the Buddha directly. But there's the translation of the Heart Sutra, the Chinese translation, which is what most of the commentaries deal with. And that is the monk Swan Song, who lived from 602 to 664 AD, and who traveled, he was the monk who traveled to India to get the sutras. And it was a really difficult journey. And I mention this because our founding teacher, Samusunim, actually refers to this very, very often, the journey of this Chinese monk to India over the deserts. Great hardship. Most of the people died. I think I remember there was a Dharma name where the person's name meant basically just keep going. And in a Dharma talk, Sunim said, the worst thing when you're in the desert, maybe we all feel a little bit like we're in the desert right now with all the uncertainty, that the worst thing is to try to go backwards, to try to go back where you came from, because you get lost. So to just keep walking. And the story is that when he gets to India, he's in a village on the shores of the Ganges, and the village is abandoned except for everybody, except for a very old man who survived a plague that hit the village. And the old man, I'm going to look at the story just to, the ancient monk who's quite ill, who had some skin disease. He says the whole village had been stricken by an epidemic and all the people had fled to avoid the contagion. And the old monk says because he was so sick and weak, he decides to stay. And so Huangsan wondered whether he should remain in that temple to take care of the sick monk or leave the next morning to continue his journey. And he stayed and took care of the sick monk. And the monk recovered and thanked him for his help. And when Huangsan left, the old monk gave him a small box, which he said was a temple heirloom. And the monk told Huangsan that when he encountered any dangerous situation, he could open the box and use the item inside. And Huangsan thanked him for the gift and left the temple. He reached the shore of the Ganges River and searched for a ferry to take him across, and he encountered several tribesmen who were looking for a human to sacrifice, which they did fairly often. They tied up Huangsan and put him in a boat. He was about to be thrown overboard and remembers what the old monk said and opens the box, and he finds a short sutra and a note explaining one could recite the sutra in dangerous situations and that it should be recited 3 times. And so he recites it loudly. And when he was about to finish the 3rd recitation, a black cloud suddenly began to form in the sky and it began to rain heavily. And growing frightened, the tribesmen decided that Huang Sun was a man of God, and they immediately released him. And so it takes him 60 years to get back to Nalanda University, where he studies, or to get to Nalanda University, where he studies the sutras. And he encounters many dangerous situations and uses the Heart Sutra, and that gets him out of them. So I just thought that might be a good story to set us off. It's unfortunately more appropriate than it's been recently. It's, like I said, it's powerful medicine. We have very many commentaries of the Heart Sutra. So as I said, there's the Red Pine, there's Thich Nhat Hanh's The Other Shore, there's the one I was quoting from, which is Thunderous Silence. This is all in that Google Drive doc. And then there's also a commentary that I was reading last night from Hakuin, the 18th century Japanese monk as well, which is strong medicine. So any thoughts or contributions or anything right now, questions or? Apparently on Zoom, you can also raise your hand. I'm seeing everybody's unmuted, everybody's muted. Huh?
I'm sort of volunteering COSA. I remember once when I was a Dharma student, I'd mentioned the Heart Sutra, and in a Dharma talk I gave as a student, and I was kind of off course, I think, on some of what I said. I don't remember exactly, but I remember COSA and I talking about it afterwards, and trying to find the section that we were referring to. All dharmas are empty. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. I just remember Kosta talking about how that's sort of a denial of the four noble truths, and that kind of, I think, set me back on a proper course, if you will. I don't know if Kosta, I'm like I said, I'm kind of volunteering Kosta. I just remember we had a good conversation about it.
Sure. Well, yeah, I do want to hear from Kosta. What I'm thinking that we'll do with the Heart Sutra over the next few weeks is break it into chunks and then have sort of discussions of the different chunks, because otherwise we could kind of sit here for 5 hours probably and talk about the Heart Sutra. So I'm thinking even just for next week, and then I do want to hear from Kosta, but for next week, if somebody, whether they'd like to look at the commentaries, there's also plenty of things online. But the actual title of the Heart Sutra is really an interesting thing to dig into, each element of the title of the Heart Sutra. So if there's somebody who would like to do that, what I really want this to be is a resource and not another thing on your list of things to do in Zoom meetings and burdening people down. So I think we probably have a mix of people for whom having something to work on or study is exactly what you need right now. And we probably also have people who are really just like, you know what, I just want to tune in once a week and listen and maybe contribute to the discussion. So I think that's the nice thing about having this, having it be a group, is we can sort of farm it out, and people who are in the mood to dig in can dig in, and people who want to sit back and listen can do that. But so I'm thinking maybe somebody to do the title for next week, and then maybe a couple of people to look at that first quatrain, right? The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of prajna paramita, perceive the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. So we could have somebody who wants to tell us about skandhas. So that's kind of what I had in mind, but I'm open to other ideas if there are any.
I think that's a great idea, because I think you know, the Heart Sutra, even though it's tiny, it's like a T.S. Eliot poem where there's going to be footnotes for every line. You know,
Right. Every word, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost cryptic language to a lot of people, because of it. Everything refers to a teaching, and eventually, I mean, we'll get into it where it says basically, forget all those teachings. This is the only teaching you really need to know. But anyways, I just think it's interesting because, yeah, even you said even the title really needs to be explained. And this is a really, I think there's many different ways to approach the Heart Sutra. And I've been studying this for a while just because this is what we began when I first started at a different temple. And the Sunim there was really, he took the Heart Sutra very important. He said, this is what we all need to, this is the main practice. And the practice was the study, but he said also you have to memorize it and chant it, because in the chanting of it, that's the experience, the meaning of the Heart Sutra is in your experience of chanting it. And it's kind of like a onion that you just keep on peeling and peeling over and over again. I think I've been chanting it for about 6 years every morning, and every time I chant it, something else comes up that's new to me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's a really good idea of people who can do it to chant it in English maybe every morning. And then I should also mention, as Oche knows, so at the end of the evening service, the 6:30 service, so it's just a sitting from 6:30 to 7, and the evening bell, and evening yabel, and then we chant the Heart Sutra in Sino-Korean, which is a mouthful, but it's also another way to connect with the Heart Sutra. So I think definitely, if you'd like to develop a chanting practice of the Heart Sutra and even start memorizing it, I heard once, and I don't know if this is true, and we'll never know because he's kind of so humble and quiet about his practice, but I believe Sunim told me once that Doan wakes up every morning and copies out the Heart Sutra in Chinese as part of his daily practice. So it really is, and I think this, at first I said, oh, it's a little too intense, it's a little too much for right now. And actually that's why it's perfect, I think, right now, right? For strong times, we need strong medicine, or so yeah. Sai, would you like to be our unpacker of the title for next week, or?
Sure.
Yeah. And
yes, sure.
Any volunteers for those first those first 4 lines? You could do a whole mini presentation on why the Bodhisattva of Great Compassion is showing up here, because that's actually a whole interesting story. And then if somebody wants to talk about skandhas, which again could take hours, but we would just have kind of a little bit of a rundown. That would, I think, be good for next time. Any volunteers?
I'll take one of them.
All right, Sanbang, how about the Bodhisattva Great Compassion? Because I think of you as as one of our big bodhisattvas in the temple.
Thank you.
How about that?
Okay.
And why the Bodhisattva Great Compassion is showing up here? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And anybody want to talk about skandhas or anything else in that first 4 lines? I'm seeing Samsu is giving me that look of, right? Mike is really big on my screen right now. He's trying to look away, but trying to see who else is here. We have Ted. It's thrilling to have Ted. Grace. We have Soyuk. He's been practicing. So who's in the mood, basically? I don't want to put anybody on the spot because, like I said, I know that we're all in very different spaces mentally, and once again, like if you promise to do something and you just can't do it, you ideally shoot us an email, but if not, that's fine too. We'll roll with it because things change day to day, and we might be on our horse today and get thrown to the ground sometime this week, and that's perfectly fine. So. Skandha volunteers. And I was gonna say that is rain. Hey, and you're Kumyan. Ani Kumyan. She's our aunt from Oregon. Yes. So wow.
Big time.
Some good friends, yeah. Yeah, so any skanda volunteers?
All of
Because
the
huh?
skandas.
Okay,
I'll look-
that sounds good actually, because I'm even looking at your painting seems very skanda-y actually. I think you, in a good way.
I don't
beautiful.
know.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so we have the skanda. So I think that's good. We have Sanbang for the Bodhisattva, Great Compassion. We have Sai for the title. We have Samsu for the skandhas. And again, I'd really recommend. It's quite a beautiful sutra, and it's right there. Even if you didn't quite get the melody of the sing song, you can just recite it and maybe start memorizing it. It really has everything packed into it, and develop that as a practice.
It's recorded and on the website, isn't it?
Is it the
I
Heart
think so.
Sutras?
It is.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
It was recorded with Bob Kyung.
Oh, wow. Okay, fabulous. And that's fantastic. Then it's on the website. Good, good, good. And also the
Is
scientific- if you-
is
Yeah.
that somewhere other than in the chants folder of the general website?
I think it's in there. It's with the chants,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
recordings. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, wonderful. How and
circle back to what Koso was going to say and answer the sushi.
right, yeah. Gakta's telling me like the Kosa, you were saying something when Sushin was talking about the noble truths.
I can wait until we get down to there.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
My expectation is that I won't do anything, any of the research or study, and I will just expound from ignorance.
You know, expounding from ignorance is also
As is my custom.
beginner's mind. And one of the commentaries, I recommend, I downloaded the Hakyuan commentary to my Kindle and started looking at it. And it's, do you know that one, Sai? The Hakyuan commentary on the Heart Sutra?
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know that one? And Oche maybe, or does anybody else know it? It's you know, how do I say, it's hardcore Zen and very much yeah, stop fooling around with your knowing mind. So the expounding from ignorance is perfect. So that's also a really good method. So yeah, any other comments or questions or?
Well, if you want to hear a really ignorant comment, it's just that it's been a while since I practiced, and I got to say that Heart Sutra, when you call it strong medicine, I felt it.
Good. It's so good to see you.
You too.
Yeah. I remember I hadn't heard the Heart Sutra for a very long time, and then I just read that first 4 lines, the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering, and I just kind of melted. Like it was just like, oh my gosh, wow. So yeah.
Always fresh.
Absolutely, yeah. So in guise of announcements then, because I don't want to keep everybody too long, I know you guys all have things to do. We're available. Oche, do you want to say something about your 3 times a day practice and all of that?
You're muted.
I know. Can I unmute?
So-
Oh, there he is. Okay, yes. Did I just remute you?
Okay, there we go, I think.
Yep,
All
okay.
right, very good. Yes, I'll send a link out in chat if anyone wants to join. Monday through Friday, we do practice each day at 6, 11:45, and 6:30 p.m. And I'll send a quick link out for those who are able to join. Thank you, Nora.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just really highly recommend it. It's like a wonderful landing pad in the day, and it's a great way to rhythm your days and to have routines. I know a lot of us, our time is weirdly structured or unstructured, and Haju was about the importance of routines. And so just very grateful to Oche and Sabahat for holding a schedule, and it's quite lovely to sit with them. I'm usually on Insight Timer at 6 o'clock in the morning or thereabouts. So I know Soyak has been meditating with us, and Jayun, and then Sandong actually joins us there. Some people, Wyatt, if you remember Wyatt, whose Dharma name I can't remember right now.
Gok Hang.
Gok Hang, thank you. And sometimes Sushin's there. So if you'd like to be in, like at 6 o'clock in the morning, I like to be a little invisible, and I also need to do prostrations at my own pace. So if you want to just go there, it's just always good to see people there as well. But you know, that we're all just I feel just so fortunate to have the practice and have this wonderful Sangha and have all of you. We have a whole toolbox at our disposal of chanting, meditation, and prostrations, and different times of the day or different moods call for different tools in the toolbox. And I'll also mention that starting on Tuesday, we are going to try to do the 4 Tuesday meditation class online for the first time. We're going to give that a roll. So it's pay what you can. If you'd like a refresher, if you'd just like to do that, we'll start this Tuesday, the 31st, from 7 to 8:30. We'll open it up probably about 6:45. And does anybody have any hacks of one of the puzzles that I have about the meditation classes? People are not going to have mats and cushions. So does anybody have a really great hack for how they meditate without a mat and a cushion?
Pillows.
Pillows, yeah, like stacking and folding pillows, or
Yep.
Roll up a blanket.
okay, roll up a blanket. That's a good idea. Rolling up, like if people have blankets or yoga blankets.
Yeah,
Maybe a yoga block under a pillow, or yeah.
I've used my sleeping bag, which, you know, it's like a
That's
big loaf
a
of
good
bread size thing.
idea. That's a really good idea. Okay. Great.
And you know, no, I know Noara and I will be teaching it, so maybe that's something we can devote some time at the class to
We
just
will.
figuring that out. You know,
I think we'll do that after the body scan. As well, we'll just have people sit wherever they are for a little while, then we can talk about it. Yeah.
You
we'll
do
add
a body scan on a bed of nails, works well.
that. Oh my God. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you all so much. And also, by the way, so, you know, and please check in. Just if you want to just drop us a note and just say a little bit how you're doing or what's on your mind, or if that's also wonderful too. We don't quite have time to go around this morning. I mean, we can, but also I just encourage everybody to email the temple or email us personally, or use the chat function, which I see a lot of people are better at that than I am. And
checking with each other.
Or check in with each other. So we do have thank you, Gakta. So we do have, we have a lot of people on deck, and including ourselves for each other. So if you'd like a Dharma buddy, we can fix you up. If you have any requests for a Dharma buddy, you can do that too, but just somebody to just touch base with, text once a day, just check in. That's you can definitely do that as well. So yeah. Any other? It's so good to see everybody. I
think Michael wants you to unmute him.
Michael wants to be unmuted. Okay.
Yeah.
Can find him.
So when Noara unmutes you, you have to also, she just makes it possible for you to unmute yourself.
Oh, I see. Because I did unmute all. Right. Yeah, I unmuted all. So, right, exactly. There's Michael.
It keeps saying it can't because the host muted you.
Well, you're on.
Right. We can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, following Sai on Instagram for a daily dose of beauty is a good tip, because he is killing it on Instagram. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Forests of Indiana, they're beautiful. Thank you, Sai.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sai is.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
what's your Instagram tag?
Just like Keith Richards.
I think it's just my name. Mike Weis.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't have an alias.
Okay. Yeah, right.
I post something-
WEIS.
I post something daily.
Fantastic. Yeah, Instagram's a good. I'm kind of lame with Instagram, but that's a really great. Yeah, between Samsu's art and Sai's walks through the forest and
Samsu, I missed what you said.
Oh, I post something daily.
That I cut out. What did you say?
I post something daily.
Oh,
I post something daily on my Instagram, which is not so serious now.
Mm.
So,
thank
check it
you.
out.
absolutely yes. That sounds good. This is lovely once again to see everybody. It's yeah. Oh, like look at people using the chat time. So this is really great. So yeah. So once again, we take requests or definitely feel free to check in. It's so good to see everybody. It's great to practice together. Catch Ote and Sabaha and some of us starting the weekdays tomorrow morning and then 11:45 and then 6:30. Which is just a real treat. There you go. Mike Weiss Instagram, Not So Serious Now, looking at the chat box. We are okay. How about 4 great vows to come together and end this? All beings, one body. I vow to
liberate.
Blind
passions,
one root.
root. I vow to terminate.
Dharma
Dharma
gate,
gates,
one
mind.
I vow to penetrate.
the
The
great
great
way
way
of
of
Buddha.
Buddha.
I
I vow
To
to
be
realize.
alive.
Thank you all. And I'm also realizing I forgot to remind everybody Ann Arbor live streams their service, which is at 9 a.m. our time, which is part of why we're at 10:30 our time, so that you can do both if you really want a big dose of Dharma. And you can let us know and we can get you that link as well. So, all right.
Did I just spy Sabaha?
I did see
Yeah,
something. I did.
She's hiding.
Ah, I
That's
saw
right.
you there.
She's like the Heart Sutra. It's not Sabaha. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all.
Have a wonderful day. And again, please stay in touch. Good to see you. Happy Heart Sutra.
How the hell do I get out of this?
There's end meeting, or I'm going to end the meeting, and I think that will just kick everybody off.
Lower right-hand corner, leave meeting, yeah?
Right, exactly. You can,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Bye.
exactly.
Bye.
Bye. Good to see you.
Good to see you.